This is Kurtop here, and these are 100 strange discoveries that could confirm the existence of UFOs. Out-of-place artifact. Out-of-place artifacts are finds that don't fit at all into the traditional understanding of our history. They're found in places and layers of the earth where they don't belong. The most amazing thing is that based on their age and level of complexity, such items simply could not have been created in times when, as it is believed, no advanced technologies existed. Mainstream science often declares such finds to be fakes or simply ignores them, but their number keeps growing, and it's no longer possible to turn a blind eye to them. Let's take, for example, the mysterious Baigong metal pipes discovered in China. These pipes go deep into the ground and stretch all the way to the shores of lakes. Their age is estimated at 150,000 years. The composition of the pipes, which includes iron and other minerals, along with their ancient origin, baffles researchers. Some believe that this is the result of natural processes, but others think that the pipes could be traces of a highly advanced civilization, or even left by aliens. Nevertheless, the mysterious object is a forged nail, which is over 350 million years old. This nail was found in a layer of rock dating back to the Paleozoic era, a time when neither humans, let alone metalworking, existed yet. How could such a nail end up in ancient rock layers? Some scientists suggest tectonic processes. Others talk about the intervention of previously unknown civilizations. In Provence, fossilized tools were found that could have been made by humans or even from ancient trees. If this is true, then such discoveries indicate the existence of intelligent beings who had woodworking skills long before the first known civilizations appeared. Other discoveries are even stranger. In Antarctica, the Altanin antenna was found, which at first looked like a high-tech object. However, it was later discovered that it was just a sea sponge. Nevertheless, the very fact of such a misconception shows how much we can be mistaken when faced with the unexplained. The Paluski River tracks are another mystery. Near the dinosaur tracks, giant humanoid footprints were found. This discovery calls into question our understanding of the chronology of life on Earth. After all, according to the theory of evolution, dinosaurs and humans never coexisted. There are other examples as well. The anomaly on Mount Ararat, which is associated with Noah's Ark, the clay figurine from Nampa, whose age is unclear, or the Wolfger iron, which is considered a remnant of a prehistoric era. We shouldn't forget about the Tucson artifacts either. This is a collection of 31 lead objects found in 1924 near Picture Rocks, Arizona. These artifacts include crosses, swords, and other items engraved with inscriptions in Latin and Hebrew. There are also images that resemble medieval symbols. It was originally assumed that they were created by ancient Mediterranean civilizations that supposedly crossed the Atlantic in the 1st century. However, later, many scholars considered them to be a hoax, created in modern times to mislead researchers. In any case, each of these artifacts calls our understanding of the past into question and opens the door to new theories and research. Perhaps our history is much more amazing and mysterious than we could have imagined. Hollow Earth, the last door. If someone had told me about this 10 years ago, I would have just laughed. Vikings, Antarctica, the underground world, Nazis who went inside the planet. All of this sounded like crazy science fiction, but the deeper I dive into documents, diaries, and declassified reports, the more I realize this isn't just nonsense. It was part of an ideological construct. According to one theory, the Nazis believed in the existence of a hollow Earth, a space inside the planet where an ancient civilization was preserved. Paradise Agartha, the inner world. Interpretations vary, but the essence is the same. It's supposedly a place of power, untouched by destruction and time. There are indeed mentions in the archives of expeditions to Antarctica, planes that disappeared without a trace, and pilots' stories about a mysterious glow that came not from the sky, but from beneath their feet. Some of these ideas may have originated in the Ahnenerbe, while others appeared later, among those who were fleeing. It doesn't matter who created them. What matters is how these myths fit into the worldview, not as a fairy tale, but as a refuge. Alien visitors in Egypt. Recent archaeological excavations in Egypt have led to a sensational discovery that has attracted the attention of the entire world. Archaeologists have found artifacts in the Giza Plateau area that, according to some scientists, could be evidence that aliens visited Earth 5,000 years ago. It all started with excavations in a recently discovered tomb dating back to the Old Kingdom of Egypt. Among the items found, metal plates with mysterious symbols and images of flying objects stood out in particular, which resembled modern UFOs. Analysis of the artifacts showed that they were inscribed with writings in an unknown language. Some scientists suggest that this could be a message from extraterrestrials that the ancient Egyptians might have interpreted as contact with another civilization. Linguists are already working on deciphering these symbols, but so far, the results remain unclear. Attention was also drawn to images of unidentified flying objects on the plates, which, according to ufologists, could be diagrams of an alien ship. It seems to me that so far the researchers have made a lot of hasty conclusions, and in fact the interpretation of these plates will be more down to earth. Therefore, it's better to wait until the study of these artifacts is completed and find out what the symbols represent and why they are there. A place where you can find UFOs. American scientist Professor Brian Helmut of Northeastern University claims that the search for extraterrestrial life on Earth should begin with the ocean. In his opinion, oceans and seas hide many mysteries, and people have only a superficial understanding of existence. Helmut, not being a specialist in UFOs but having knowledge in oceanology, believes that something related to extraterrestrial civilizations may be hiding underwater. I would like to add that recently, oceanographer Paula Bontempi joined NASA's Special Commission for the Study of Unidentified Objects. Earlier, NASA announced the appointment of a new head of UFO research, Mark McInerney, who previously represented the organization at the Pentagon. This underscores the seriousness of the approach to studying the mystery of the Codex Gigas. The Codex Gigas, also known as the Devil's Bible, is an ancient manuscript that holds many mysteries. Created in the 13th century, it impresses with its size and content. Inside the book, you can find not only the texts of the Old and New Testaments, but also an image of the devil himself, which takes up an entire page. However, the most intriguing are the astronomical maps, which appear unusually detailed and have given rise to many theories about the possible extraterrestrial origin of the knowledge used in creating the Codex. Some researchers believe that the manuscript may contain encrypted messages or knowledge passed down by extraterrestrial civilizations. Legend has it that the Codex Gigas was written by a monk in a single night with the help of the devil. What secrets does this mysterious manuscript hold? And is it possible that its pages contain encrypted keys to ancient knowledge that came from space? The Codex Gigas remains one of the most mysterious artifacts of antiquity, which we will definitely study someday. The Fuente Magna Bowl, a mysterious artifact found near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, also attracted archaeologists with its unusual depiction. The bowl, named Fuente Magna, is a large stone vessel with unusual inscriptions on its surface. These inscriptions amazed researchers with their resemblance to Sumerian cuneiform, one of the oldest writing systems that originated in Mesopotamia. The unusual nature of the inscription gave rise to a theory about possible contacts between the ancient cultures of Mesopotamia and South America. Supporters of this hypothesis claim that the bowl could serve as evidence of unknown migration routes or even ancient sea voyages that connected these distant regions. However, skeptics point to the high likelihood of forgery. They argue that the bowl could have been created in a later period, possibly even in modern times, with the intention of causing a sensation. About 100 to 150 years ago, it was very popular around the world to create such objects in order to attract people to fairs and make money off gullible citizens. Despite this, the exact origin and meaning of the Fuente Magna bowl remain unsolved, continuing to attract the interest of archaeologists and lovers of the mysteries of ancient history. The impact of the asteroid and contact with the gods. The asteroid that is believed to have wiped out the dinosaurs about 66 million years ago left a significant mark on the Yucatan Peninsula. This impact created the Chicxulub crater, which remains an important geological site to this day. Although this cataclysm occurred long before the rise of the Maya civilization, Its long-term geological and ecological consequences may have influenced the formation of the region where this culture later developed. Archaeological findings, such as cities and structures destroyed and buried under layers of sediment, may indirectly support the theory of cataclysms that occurred in Yucatan. Nevertheless, there is no direct evidence that the Maya knew about the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs or had any information about them. The idea that the Maya could have had contact with dinosaurs is scientifically unfounded. Dinosaurs became extinct long before the appearance of the first humans, let alone the Maya civilization. However, in their mythology and art, you can find depictions of creatures that can be interpreted as legendary or mythical animals. Is evidence of their actual contact with dinosaurs. Researchers sometimes find dinosaur fossils in Mesoamerica, but these discoveries date back to times before human history. Such finds may be of interest to geologists or paleontologists, but they do not support the theory of the Maya having contact with dinosaurs. Knowledge of ancient cataclysms may have been integrated into their mythology and beliefs related to natural phenomena and the actions of the gods. The Maya believed in the cyclical nature of time and recurring catastrophes. This could have reflected their understanding of the past and their anticipation of future events. Ceramic figurines from Mexico. In 1944, thousands of ceramic figurines were discovered in the Mexican city of Acámbaro, which have since sparked heated debates among scholars. These figurines depict people, animals, and even dinosaurs, which led to speculation about possible contact between ancient civilizations and dinosaurs, or the existence of a civilization with incredible knowledge of the ancient world. Some supporters of alternative theories even put forward hypotheses about extraterrestrial origin or influence. However, the authenticity of the Acámbaro figurines is seriously doubted by most scientists. Many researchers believe that these artifacts may be modern forgeries created to attract attention or for commercial gain. The lack of reliable dating and archaeological context increases skepticism about their authenticity. The Guardian from Mojo. On the highlands of Peru, in the Mojo region, there stands a stone statue not very tall, outwardly simple, but nevertheless evoking strange feelings. At first glance, it's just a carved monolith in the Tiwanaku style. Clear lines, a static pose, hands folded on the stomach. But the longer you look, the more it seems that the figure is somehow out of context, as if it came not from this time and not even from this continent. The statue is called Mojo Huaca, and its base is shaped like a cross. It resembles the Andean Chacana, an ancient symbol where each side represents a level of the world, upper, middle, and lower. But in this case, the cross is twisted in a spiral, clockwise, which is rare in itself and may indicate a ritual significance that has been lost over time. However, what draws the most attention is not the style or the symbolism, but the strange similarities. The pose, the statue, its hands lowered and folded on the stomach, the direct gaze. All of this unexpectedly echoes the images of the Moai from Easter Island. With the stone stele from Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the same composition, the same gestures, the same restraint, completely different cultures, separated by thousands of kilometers and centuries, but as if they are using the same language of form. The Pilate stone is a very important ancient artifact that confirms the existence of Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect of Judea, known for his role in condemning Jesus Christ to crucifixion. This fragment of a limestone block was found in 1961 in the ancient Roman theater of Caesarea in Israel and dates back to the 1st century AD. The inscription on the stone is partially preserved, but it contains key information. It mentions Pontius Pilate and his title, Prefect of Judea. This discovery became significant because before it was found, there was no archaeological evidence directly connected to this historical figure. The Pilate stone is considered the only contemporary inscription found that relates to the period of Pilate's rule. Its importance lies in the fact that it confirms not only the existence of Pilate, but also the Roman presence in Judea during that period. New Maya ruins. Archaeologists are finding more and more ruins of the Maya civilization thanks to new technologies and satellites that help detect structures hidden beneath dense forests. As professor of archaeology at Texas Tech University, Brad Houck, said at a NASA conference, "In the past 10 years, scientists have discovered more Maya sites than in the previous 150 years. The main tool that helps with this is LiDAR technology. LiDAR allows us to see through dense forest vegetation and identify structures that were previously hidden. With this technology, archaeologists are discovering new ruins in the territories of modern Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. One such project is a study in the northeastern part of Belize, where a team of scientists is examining an area of 650 square kilometers. In just a few days, the scientists discovered 28 new large sites. The ancient technologies used by the Maya for water management and agriculture may prove useful even in our time. Tim Murda from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte noted that the Maya adapted to changing climate conditions by creating terrace and reservoir systems to cope with droughts. These ancient methods may serve as an important lesson in the context of modern climate change. Where did all the trees go? I'll tell you about why it's important to protect nature using the example of one island. Easter Island, located in the southeastern Pacific Ocean and known for its unique statues, appears to us today in a different light. Once this island was covered with lush green forest, but with the arrival of humans, it lost its original appearance. The first inhabitants of the island were the Polynesians, who settled here despite the distance from the nearest continent, Chile. At one time, the island's population reached 15,000 people, which, given its area of 160 square kilometers, amounted to 94 people per square kilometer. The main ecological disaster for the island was the deforestation of its forests, which consisted of the unique Pascalococos desperta palms. Gradually, the settlers destroyed the forest to clear land for agricultural needs and to build canoes. With the deforestation, soil erosion began, which led to its depletion and degradation, completely depriving the island of fertility. After the forest was cut down, the remaining soil became fragile and easily disturbed. This led to Easter Island losing most. California. In September, we have an example of how careless treatment of nature can lead to irreversible consequences. However, reforestation efforts have already begun on Easter Island, giving hope for its revival. The mystery of the flying stones. India has always been shrouded in mysteries and enigmas. In every corner of the country, you can encounter something amazing and incredible. Many people come here for new experiences, to discover unknown spiritual abilities within themselves. Once you visit this amazing country, it is impossible to forget it. One of the mysteries of India is the levitating stones in the small village of Shivapur, which is located 200 kilometers from Bombay. Near the local temple, there are several boulders weighing more than 50 kilograms. According to the locals, these stones can rise into the air. To lift the first heavier stone, 11 men are required. They must stand around it and say certain words. After that, the stone begins to levitate, and it can be supported with just one finger. The smaller boulder requires 9 men to lift it. There is also a third stone. The stone weighs more than 60 kilograms and can only be lifted by the temple monks. The origin of these stones is mysterious. Some believe that they were sent by the gods. Others think that they broke off from a nearby cliff. A local resident who takes care of the temple claims that the stones occasionally split, and he replaces them with new ones by breaking them off from the cliff. But even the new stones retain their ability to levitate. Some scientists suggest that ancient people were able to move objects with the power of their minds. For example, during the construction of the Egyptian pyramids, perhaps the knowledge of levitation was lost, but sometimes it resurfaces in places like Shivapur. Interestingly, in the last century, Edvard Litzkalnin, an immigrant from Latvia, used similar methods to build his coral castle in Florida, which only confirms the existence of such knowledge. These unexplained phenomena support the hypothesis of extraterrestrial influence on ancient civilizations, suggesting that some technologies or methods may have been passed on to humanity by representatives of other worlds.
Cosmos.
Space. The more I delved into the late Nazi projects, the more often I had the feeling that at some point they stopped operating within the bounds of this reality. They seemed to lose faith in victory on Earth and started seeking an escape to another dimension, literally. Their aviation projects increasingly looked like attempts to defy conventional physics. Disc-shaped devices, tests with electromagnetic fields, ideas of a gravity shield. But behind the engineering, there was another layer, an ideological one. They believed that humanity had lost contact with something greater, and that the Reich had to restore this connection. In 1945, strange terms began to appear in SS documents: solar intelligence, pure perception, signal interception. At first, I thought these were just more pseudoscientific constructs, but then I saw that it wasn't fringe people involved in this, but individuals connected to the Ahnenerbe and personally to Himmler. They were looking for a way to establish telepathic contact with someone, or something they called a higher form of consciousness. One version claims it wasn't about gods, but extraterrestrial intelligence that allegedly contacted the Aryan race. Theories on this vary. Some think it involved contact with an extraterrestrial civilization, while others believe it was an attempt to access the planet's memory. But the fact is that in the last years of the war, the Reich spent resources not on frontline tasks or the defense of Berlin, but on experiments with consciousness, hypnosis, radio frequencies, and anomalous zones. And then there were rumors that some of them actually left, not to Argentina, not to Antarctica, but higher up. That it wasn't just ships being developed, but carriers for leaving the Earth. I'm not convinced by such theories, but I can't completely dismiss them either. Because if you saw how many people after the war were searching not only for escaped officers, but also for bases in places where they couldn't possibly be, you would also start to wonder, what if they really didn't plan to stay? Life in a meteorite. Researchers studying a meteorite discovered on the island of Sri Lanka. They stated that it is not just a stone fragment from space, but a potential artifact of extraterrestrial origin. The analyses conducted showed the presence of fossilized microscopic algae, which, according to scientists, may be evidence supporting the panspermia hypothesis, the idea that life spreads throughout the universe with the help of asteroids and comets. These discoveries sparked widespread interest, as they could confirm the theory of the existence of life beyond Earth. However, the results were criticized by the scientific community. Some experts claim that the discovered fossils are too similar to terrestrial microorganisms that live in fresh water. The possibility of the meteorite being contaminated by terrestrial life forms while it was on the Earth's surface also remains a serious argument against the hypothesis of the find's extraterrestrial origin. Beigu stone pipes. In a remote region of China, at the foot of Mount Beigu, amazing underground pipes made of stone have been discovered. These ancient structures, which are believed to be over 5,000 years old, are striking in their complexity and precision. Excavations have shown that the pipes go deep underground and come in various sizes, from small diameters of a few centimeters to huge ones over a meter in diameter. The technology used to create these pipes remains a mystery to modern scientists, as it is unclear how ancient civilizations were able to carve and install such complex structures. Their origin and purpose remain unknown, which gives rise to many hypotheses and assumptions. Researchers suggest that these pipes could have been part of an ancient water supply or ventilation system. However, there is also a more intriguing theory. It is possible that the Beigu stone pipes are evidence of extraterrestrial involvement. The precision and scale of the construction make us wonder about the existence of ancient technologies that we do not yet understand. Interestingly, similar artifacts are known from other places in the world, for example, on the Colorado Plateau. The pipes here also have a diameter ranging from 50 centimeters to 1 meter. Archaeologists have found that inside these pipes are covered with an iron-containing crust. Something similar has also been found in Louisiana, USA. In this case, the diameter reaches 70 centimeters. Examples from Japan. The Japanese government denied the existence of UFOs for a long time, citing a lack of reliable evidence and concerns about possible public panic. In addition, the government sought to maintain control over information.
Чтобы избежать любой утечки данных.
Japanese pilots have repeatedly reported UFO sightings. One of the well-known incidents occurred in 1986 when the crew of a Japanese cargo plane over Alaska observed 3 unidentified objects that accompanied them for 50 minutes. This incident received a lot of attention and sparked interest among both ufologists and the public. In 2020, the Japanese government's attitude toward UFOs changed significantly. Defense Minister Taro Kono stated that the government would start taking UFO reports more seriously and would develop guidelines for pilots and the military in case of encounters with unidentified objects. This decision was made amid a growing number of sightings and pressure from the public. The defense minister initiated the development of standard procedures for collecting and analyzing data on such incidents, and also strengthened cooperation with international partners. The analysis of UFO data conducted by the Japanese military showed that some sightings truly cannot be explained by ordinary phenomena or known aircraft. However, so far, no convincing evidence of the presence of extraterrestrial technologies has been found. The Cocknose Stone, a massive stone located near the city of Clydebank in Scotland, is covered with intricate carved patterns consisting of spirals, circles, and lines, and it is still considered one of the most mysterious archaeological finds in Scotland. After conducting numerous analyses, scientists confirmed that the stone is about 5,000 years old. The patterns on the Cocknose Stone have attracted attention because of their uniqueness and complexity. Some researchers interpret these symbols as an ancient map of the starry sky, suggesting the stone may have been used for astronomical purposes. In their opinion, the spirals and circles may represent stars, planets, or even the paths of celestial bodies. How could this have helped ancient people?
Жителям Шотландии отслеживать движение небесных светил. Также
The stone could have served as a place for rituals or ceremonies related to the worship of gods or nature spirits. However, there is still no consensus about what role this artifact played in the lives of ancient people. Supporters of the paleo-contact theory suggest that the patterns on the Cocknose Stone may be evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. In their opinion, the complexity and symbolism of the images may indicate interaction with a more advanced culture, possibly of extraterrestrial origin. Kryptonite on Earth jadarite, a mineral discovered in 2006 in Serbia, attracted attention due to its remarkable similarity to kryptonite, the fictional substance that weakens Superman. The chemical composition of jadarite almost completely matches the kryptonite described in the movie Superman Returns, including sodium, lithium, borosilicate, and hydroxide. However, unlike its fictional counterpart, jadarite does not contain fluorine, which gave kryptonite its famous green glow. That's why jadarite is white in color. The discovery of this material sparked great interest among both scientists and science fiction fans, becoming an example of how fiction sometimes intersects with reality. Jadarite was found exclusively in the Jadar River Valley in Serbia and is of interest due to its high lithium content. Lithium is used in battery production. Buddha's wheels and devil's carousels. Marine bioluminescence, a phenomenon in which some sea creatures emit light, has been known for a long time. For example, some types of plankton are capable of producing light bright enough to be noticed by the human eye. This phenomenon is often associated with sightings of a glow on the surface of the water or just beneath it. However, in addition to scientific explanations, there are also more mystical stories about mysterious circles on the water. These glowing rings are called Buddha's wheels, or devil's carousels. It is possible that the first name, according to one version, was given by Eastern sailors and the second by Europeans. The Chinese considered such phenomena to be favorable omens, while Europeans, particularly Christians, saw them as a bad sign. Notice how people in the West and the East observing the same natural phenomenon interpret it in completely opposite ways. At the same time, despite the popularity of these stories, there is not a single officially documented account of such phenomena. Perhaps the mysterious glowing circles are connected to marine plankton, which creates a bright glow in the darkness of the ocean. It is also worth noting that such stories about Buddha's wheels and devil's carousels often appear in folklore, but for now remain just myths and legends, unsupported by evidence. The Glozell Tablet. In 1924, clay tablets with mysterious symbols and images were discovered in the small village of Glozell in France, which sparked heated debates in the scientific community. These artifacts, found by a young farmer named Émile Frat, turned out to be so unusual that it was impossible to link them to any known ancient civilization. The tablets contain symbols and images resembling ancient scripts, but their origin and meaning remain unclear. Some researchers have hypothesized that the Glozell tablets could be evidence of a lost civilization or an unknown culture that developed in this region thousands of years ago. Another more radical theory suggests that these tablets could be traces of extraterrestrial intervention, although there is very little evidence for this. However, the tablets' authenticity is still in question. Since their discovery, scientists have conducted numerous studies to determine whether they are genuine ancient artifacts or artificial forgeries. To this day, neither version has been definitively confirmed, and the Glozell tablets continue to be one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Gods from the underworld. In ancient Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire, archaeologists unearthed a monumental relief. It was buried in the ground right in front of the entrance to the throne room of the northern palace. The slab is almost 6 meters long, 3 meters high, and weighs about 12 tons. The image on it is striking in its detail. In the center of the relief stands King Ashurbanipal. On either side of him are two main deities, the supreme god Abshur and the goddess Ishtar, the patroness of the city. Behind them are strange figures. One of them resembles a man with the body of a fish. Another is a figure with raised hands, possibly a scorpion man. This is not a scene of submission, but of the assertion of power. The king is depicted not as an ordinary ruler, but as a link between the world of humans and the gods. But the main point is this: the relief was not destroyed, it was carefully buried. They didn't throw it away or break it, they hid it on purpose, either to preserve it or keep it hidden from others. This happened after the fall of Assyria, probably during the Hellenistic period. And that's strange because these halls were already known in the 19th century. The British took dozens of reliefs from there, but this one remained in place. Maybe because no one knew where to look. Maybe because that was the intention. The relief itself was located in the main part of the palace, right opposite the entrance. The most important place, the most visible. And then, silence for 2,000 years.
Корона.
Crown. The oldest crown found to date was discovered as part of the Nahal Mishmar hoard in 1961 in the Judean desert near the Dead Sea. This amazing hoard included more than 400 items dating back to the Copper Age. The crown, made of blackened copper, has a diameter of about 18 centimeters, and its upper edge is decorated with 5 figurines. Among them are 2 long-necked birds, presumably vultures, stylized doors or gates, as well as an object in the shape of the letter T, which may symbolize the hilt of a sword. Along with the crown, the hoard included a scepter decorated with images of horned animals, a copper-woven basket, and numerous ceramic vessels and bowls. Despite the majestic appearance of the crown, scientists do not believe that it was worn by a ruler. Most likely it was used in ritual ceremonies or funeral rites. It's still a mystery how these treasures stayed in the cave for thousands of years. This crown is also considered the earliest known crown in its familiar form. Hidden burial chamber. While cleaning a 3,900-year-old tomb in Egypt, archaeologists discovered a hidden burial chamber. The work was carried out in the ancient tomb of Jefai Hapi in Ashut. According to a statement from the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, a group of Egyptian and German archaeologists discovered the chamber when they followed a shaft down to a depth of about 15 meters. Inside the small rectangular chamber, archaeologists found 2 richly decorated wooden sarcophagi nested within each other. They belonged to a woman named Edi, the only daughter of Jefai Hapi, an important nomarch of the Asyut province who lived around 1900 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Senusret III. Photographs show a well-preserved, colorful sarcophagus. However, the chamber was robbed in ancient times. The mummy was damaged, and the canopic jars were destroyed. Despite this, archaeologists found some parts of Edi's remains, the sarcophagus lid, and carved figurines. According to preliminary analysis, Edi died young, probably before the age of 40, and suffered from a congenital foot defect. The tomb of Jefai Hapi, carved into the rock, is considered the largest private burial site of the Middle Kingdom. Metal objects from Gaias Lamana Cave in Ecuador have attracted the attention of not only archaeologists, but also enthusiasts of mysticism and ufology for many years. The story of the discovery of metal objects in these caves is shrouded in mystery and mysticism. According to legends, metal plates were discovered in Lamana, engraved with symbols that resemble modern diagrams, maps, and even technical drawings. These discoveries became the basis for hypotheses about the existence of an unknown civilization in the distant past that possessed highly advanced technologies, or about contacts between ancient people and extraterrestrial beings. Supporters of these theories claim that such complex and detailed symbols could not have been created with primitive tools, and they must be evidence of more advanced knowledge. Some researchers even suggest that the plates could have served as star maps or technological instructions left by extraterrestrials. However, most scientists are quite skeptical about these findings. There is no convincing evidence that the metal objects from Lamana actually date back to ancient times. Some experts point to possible traces of modern metalworking and the inconsistency of these artifacts with the styles and technologies known in ancient Ecuador. Moreover, there are no reliable dating evidence or archaeological context of these items, which further undermines their authenticity. Archaeologists believe that these artifacts may have been created in a later period, possibly as part of a hoax or to attract tourists. Thus, despite the fascinating and mysterious stories about the metal objects from the Lamana caves, their origin and significance remain in question. The story of the Lamana caves is an example of how myths and legends can intertwine with reality, creating fascinating but often unreliable accounts of our past. Satellite data. Modern satellite images, available through various online platforms such as Google Earth, show possible entrances to underground bases in Antarctica. One such example is imagery showing strange holes in the ice sheet, resembling artificial structures. Satellite images have also been discovered on South Georgia Island, which, according to some researchers, indicate a possible UFO crash. One such image was found on Google Earth and shows an object resembling a crashed spacecraft. The image sparked interest among ufologists and internet researchers, who suggested that it could be debris of extraterrestrial origin. Some of these objects have unusual shapes and sizes that are difficult to explain by natural processes. The UFO on South Georgia Island is often compared to the interstellar object Oumuamua, which attracted the attention of scientists in 2017. Oumuamua, discovered as the first known interstellar object passing through the solar system, has an unusual shape and trajectory that does not match the characteristics of ordinary asteroids or comets. This has led to hypotheses that it could be an alien probe or spacecraft. Quackers and bioducks. If it seems that sound anomalies related to the sea and UFOs were recorded only by American sailors, that's not the case. Soviet submariners also encountered similar mysterious phenomena. In the 1970s, crews of Soviet nuclear submarines discovered strange sounds resembling frog croaking, which quickly spread through the waters of the North Atlantic, especially in areas controlled by NATO. These sounds were so unusual that they became the subject of numerous discussions and hypotheses. The sounds recorded by the acousticians of Soviet submarines accompanied them almost constantly and moved at an astonishing speed of up to 150 knots. However, the active sonar did not detect any objects that could have been the source of these noises. It was suggested that these sounds came from something too small to be detected or were actually living creatures. For several years, scientists tried to determine the nature of these strange quackers, putting forward various theories, ranging from unexplored phenomena occurring in submarine nuclear reactors to fluctuations at the boundaries of water layers with different temperatures and salinity. However, the Soviet Academy of Sciences put forward a more likely explanation. The sounds were biological in nature and could have come from whales or unknown deep-sea mollusks. The submariners, in turn, disagreed with this, believing that the quackers were too different from any known marine creatures. Over time, a more realistic version was proposed by skeptics. According to this theory, the submariners mistook the quacking for the sounds of active depth charge launchers, bombs dropped from NATO anti-submarine aircraft. These devices, equipped with water-activated batteries, could make noises similar to quacking. This version explains why the quackers were most often detected in areas of active NATO patrols, and why this anomaly disappeared After the collapse of the USSR, sailors of Britain's Royal Navy, in turn, recorded similar noises, which they called bioducks, from the English onomatopoeia for quacking. These sounds were recorded in the waters around Australia, where in the 1960s there were major nuclear test sites for the British Navy. Since patrols in these waters by the USSR or the USA were unlikely, the British also initially associated these sounds with marine life. It took scientists more than 50 years to identify the source of the bioduct. It turned out that the strange sounds were made by Antarctic minke whales, which unexpectedly produced this sound before a deep dive. The mystery of the Jiroft civilization. In Iran, in the ancient city of Jiroft, archaeologists discovered unique artifacts. These findings, which are over 5,000 years old, are clay and stone items featuring images of unusual creatures and symbols. Particular attention is drawn to figures with elongated heads and large eyes, which resemble descriptions of extraterrestrial beings. The images on the artifacts of the Jiroft civilization are so unique and different from other known ancient cultures that some researchers have put forward the hypothesis of possible contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. These hypotheses are based on the idea that ancient artists might have depicted what they saw or heard about. The findings also include complex geometric patterns and symbols that have not yet been deciphered. This only adds to the mystery of this ancient culture. The Jiroft civilization, thanks to its mysterious artifacts, attracts the attention not only of archaeologists, but also of enthusiasts of mysticism and the unexplained. The discovery of the Northern Star. The Dogon tribe, living in Malay Africa, has long attracted the attention of researchers and anthropologists thanks to its unique and ancient knowledge about the star Sirius. This knowledge is astonishing in its accuracy. The Dogon claimed that Sirius is not just a bright star visible to the naked eye, but that it also has a companion, Sirius B, which is invisible without special instruments and was only discovered by Western scientists in 1862. According to Dogon mythology, their ancestors received this knowledge from mysterious beings they call the Nomo. According to legend, these beings arrived on Earth from Sirius and taught the Dogon astronomy, agriculture, and other important sciences. The information the Dogon preserve about Sirius is astonishing in its accuracy. They knew that Sirius B is a small and extremely dense star, which is amazing for a people who had no access to modern astronomical instruments. This knowledge has given rise to many hypotheses and theories about the possible contact of the Dogon with an extraterrestrial civilization. Paleo-contact theory supporters believe the ancient Dogon could only have learned such precise space information from an advanced extraterrestrial race. Some anthropologists and historians believe that the Dogon's knowledge could have been acquired not from mythical beings, but from European missionaries and researchers who visited Africa in the past. There is a theory that the Dogon could have learned about Sirius B through interactions with scientists in the 19th or early 20th century. They integrated this information into their myths and legends. UFOs in the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages are often seen as an era of wars, diseases, and dark superstitions, where there was no electricity or other modern conveniences. However, this period also saw major achievements such as universities, the printing press, and the first books. These innovations not only influenced the development of science and education, but also became sources of historical records, including unusual events in the sky that can be interpreted as encounters with UFOs. One such example is a news leaflet published in April 1561 describing a mass sighting in Nuremberg. On April 14, 1561 at dawn, the residents of the city witnessed a collision of various objects in the sky, spheres, cylinders, and other strange shapes. These objects fought each other, and then one of them, a large black triangle, appeared in the air. The event lasted for several hours, but it did not cause any harm to the townspeople. Some believe that these were mass hallucinations, while others think it could have been a UFO collision. Such events are not limited to Nuremberg. In 1566, similar phenomena were observed in Basel, Switzerland. Strange figures in the sky, resembling battles between celestial objects. In 1665 in Berlin, fishermen witnessed a battle of airships, as well as a strange object resembling a modern description of a UFO. These stories indicate that UFOs may have been part of human mythology and documented long before the 20th century. Dragon houses and Mount Ochi. The dragon houses on the island of Euboea in Greece are mysterious megalithic structures that impress with their massiveness and precision. These ancient structures, built from huge stone blocks without the use of mortar, date back to around the 8th century BC. There are dragon houses associated with gods, particularly with Zeus, and they are described as places of sacred rituals and as dwellings of ancient dragons guarding these territories. Mount Ochi, where some of the dragon houses are located, is considered a place of contact with the gods because of its remoteness and majestic location. In ancient Greek mythology, mountains were often associated with the dwellings of gods and places of their manifestations. This mountain, rising above the surrounding landscapes, could be perceived as a sacred place where meetings and rituals took place. Archaeologists face many difficulties when studying these megalithic structures. One of the main mysteries is how the ancient builders were able to transport and place such huge stone blocks on the tops of mountains. The logistical and technical aspects of their construction remain unclear, especially considering the lack of modern tools and equipment. The lack of precise information about when and why these structures were built makes their study and interpretation harder. According to legends, Zeus used these places for his meetings with people and other gods. The dragons mentioned in the legends could have been symbols of his power and the protection of sacred places. There is a theory that the dragon houses could have been places of contact with extraterrestrials. Supporters of this hypothesis claim that the unusual architecture and precise geometry of these structures indicate possible influence from extraterrestrial civilizations. They believe that the ancient Greeks might have interpreted encounters with extraterrestrials as contacts with gods, which was reflected in their mystical petroglyphs. The distance from Egypt to Australia is 12,500 kilometers, but as archaeological discoveries show, ancient people could cover this distance relatively easily. The Gosford glyphs are mysterious petroglyphs discovered in a rocky area near the city of Gosford in Australia. These images on the stone amazed researchers with their resemblance to ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The glyphs depict scenes and symbols that suggest these images may indicate possible contact between ancient Australian tribes and extraterrestrial beings, or even ancient Egyptian journeys to Australia. Supporters of the ancient astronaut theory claim that these glyphs could be evidence that, in the distant past, there were interactions between different ancient cultures or even with extraterrestrial civilizations. However, skeptics also weigh in here, pointing out numerous inconsistencies and believing that the glyphs could be from the modern era, possibly as a hoax, or are the creations of local Aboriginal people who use symbols similar to Egyptian ones. The question of the origin and authenticity of the Gosford glyphs remains open. At the moment, there is no convincing evidence confirming their antiquity or connection to extraterrestrial civilizations, which makes this discovery one of the most mysterious archaeological enigmas in Australia. The Neolithic Swiss knife. On the border of Germany and Switzerland in Mengen, Hinterhorn, archaeologists found an unusual object, a Neolithic knife with a wooden handle. It is 7.3 cm long with a blade made of flint, a wooden handle fixed with birch resin, and a hole on the side for carrying. The whole design resembles something like an ancient multi-tool. In fact, the find has already been called the first Swiss knife in history. The tool dates back to the Neolithic era, around 4,300–3,500 BC. It was found at a settlement of the Finn culture, a society that lived near swamps and lakes in what is now southern Germany and northern Switzerland. People here built pile dwellings, practiced agriculture, kept livestock, used copper items, and even knew about textiles. The Wengen knife is simple and reflects its era's convenience, reliability, and versatility. It's neither ceremonial, a weapon, nor a decoration. It's a tool that was used every day, and it's exactly these kinds of finds that are important. The DNA of modern Japanese people. Today, Japan attracts people from all over the world, but it wasn't always like this. For 10,000 years, the archipelago remained isolated until the first migrants from the continent began to arrive. This was confirmed by genetic analysis of human remains from the Yayoi period. The Japanese population has a dual origin, but the details of this mixing remained unclear for a long time. Scientists from the University of Tokyo, led by John Hyun Kim and Juno Hashi, decided to investigate the issue. According to their data, about 80% of the nuclear genome of modern Japanese people comes from people from East and Northeast Asia. There are two models that explain the genetic diversity of the Japanese people. One suggests a single wave of migration during the Yayoi and Kofun periods. The other allows for multiple sources. Geneticists analyzed the genome of a person from the Yayoi period from the Duigahama Cemetery and compared it with ancient and modern populations. It turned out that the Yayoi and Kofun people are genetically closer to Koreans than to modern Japanese. This confirmed the hypothesis of a single source of migration from the Korean peninsula. The Galilee boat, also known as the Jesus boat, is an ancient fishing vessel dating back to the 1st century AD. This unique artifact was discovered in 1986 on the northwestern shore of the Sea of Galilee in Israel, when a drought caused the water level to drop significantly. The boat is 8.2 meters long, 2.3 meters wide, and has a preserved height of 1.3 meters, making it a typical vessel used for fishing and possibly for transporting people and goods across the ancient Sea of Galilee. Despite its nickname, the Jesus boat, there is no direct evidence that this boat was connected to Jesus Christ or his disciples. Nevertheless, the discovery has significant historical and cultural value, as it dates back to the period when, according to the Gospels, Jesus and his disciples preached around the Sea of Galilee. Local fishermen used similar boats, and such vessels were part of everyday life at that time. The vessel was built from different types of wood, which indicates that it was repeatedly repaired in an effort to keep it seaworthy. This is one of the rarest archaeological finds, allowing us to glimpse the life and everyday activities of ancient people who lived on the shores of the Sea of Galilee during the early Christian era. The mystical stones of Jalisco, piedras grabadas de Oquelus de Jalisco. Various stones found in the Mexican state of Jalisco, on which strange figures, scenes, and symbols are carved. These stones have attracted the attention of researchers and UFO enthusiasts, thanks to the images that, according to some, indicate contacts between ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial beings. The stones depict people interacting with figures resembling aliens, as well as objects similar to modern representations of UFOs. Supporters of the ancient astronaut theory claim that these stones could be important evidence that the ancient cultures of Jalisco really did encounter extraterrestrial beings, or at least perceive such contacts within their myths and legends. Despite their controversial nature and lack of scientific confirmation, the stones continue to attract interest as a possible artifact reflecting the interaction between mythology and reality in ancient cultures. They still attract the interest of antiquities enthusiasts, raising questions about how our ancestors might have perceived or interpreted such things.
Пещера Тиуанако.
In Tiwanaku, one of the oldest and most mysterious archaeological complexes in Bolivia, a cave was discovered with strange creatures depicted on its walls. These figures have large heads and eyes, which resemble images of aliens that are widespread in modern culture. The discovered images immediately attracted the attention of archaeologists from all over the world. Some researchers have suggested that these images may reflect the myths and beliefs of the ancient cultures of the region, linking them to divine or supernatural beings. In the ancient civilizations of South America, images of anthropomorphic beings with exaggerated body features are often found, which may have symbolized their special role and status in mythology. And here, proponents of the paleocontact theory have put forward their hypothesis that these images may be evidence of actual contact with extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth in ancient times. Interestingly, similar images and figurines that share many common features can be found all over the world. Could it be that humanity encountered something extraterrestrial in ancient times? What do you think? Write your opinion in the comments below the video. UFOs in the USSR. At the end of the USSR's existence and after its collapse, UFOs became a frequent topic of discussion. Residents regularly reported strange objects in the sky, special programs were shown on television, and urban myths circulated among people. Some UFO sightings were related to secret missile tests that the general public was unaware of. In the 1970s and 1980s, stories about UFOs spread throughout the USSR. There were legends about a UFO crash in Yakutia in the 1970s, a UFO explosion on the Kola Peninsula in 1981, and its destruction by a nuclear device in Kazakhstan in 1983. Another story tells of mushroom pickers who supposedly photographed the interior of a flying saucer, and then they disappeared without a trace. There are even photographs that supposedly prove a UFO crash in the USSR, but upon closer inspection, they raise doubts. Soviet UFOs were more a manifestation of mass self-suggestion rather than evidence of extraterrestrial civilizations. There were also cases in the US when UFOs were caught on video, including footage taken by the military. For example, in July 2019, an unidentified object was spotted near the ship Amaka. The Pentagon suggests that UFOs may have an extraterrestrial origin. Even astronauts on the ISS have observed strange objects, but often these turned out to be satellites. In the US, there is laser equipment capable of creating plasma images, which are sometimes mistaken for UFOs. But even taking all these explanations into account, some cases still remain a mystery. Egypt and the swastika. The more I studied the archives about the Ahnenerbe, the clearer it became. The Nazis were interested in more than just finding wood. They needed to place themselves in a grand past, to create a narrative where Aryans were not just a people, but the direct heirs of the most ancient civilizations. Egypt held a special place in this system, not because of the pyramids and mummies, but because of the symbols and rituals. They called the swastika the sun cross. For them, it was not just a sign, it was a code. The swastika is indeed found in the cultures of India, Tibet, and China, and in Egypt at least in indirect symbolic form. The movement of the sun, 4 directions, culture, they found confirmation of their ideas in this, sometimes far-fetched, sometimes quite convincing. Before the war, some researchers connected with the NNR really were in Egypt, unofficially. They were interested in ancient books, burial rituals, beliefs about the afterlife, and how the Egyptians connected power, magic, and order. The Nazis saw this as a system, not a religion, but a mechanism of control, as if the ancients knew something that was forgotten, and they came to restore it. I looked at photographs from those expeditions. People in SS uniforms standing by temples, stone bas-reliefs decorated with runes. It wasn't just imitation, it was an attempt to create their own religion, a new one, not relying on symbols that inspire strength. When Hitler talked about bringing back the past, he didn't mean Prussia. He looked further, into millennia, into civilizations that disappeared but left a trace. And he wanted that trace to lead to them. The monolith on Phobos. Phobos, one of Mars's 2 moons, hides an amazing secret. A giant monolith. This monolith, about 85 meters tall, was first discovered in images taken by spacecraft. Its size and regular shape raise many questions among scientists. Some researchers suggest that the monolith could be an artificial structure left by an ancient extraterrestrial civilization. This hypothesis is based on its unusual geometry and isolation from other geological formations on the surface of Phobos. The monolith looks as if it was deliberately placed at this location. This discovery has sparked intense discussions in the scientific community and has given rise to many theories. Some believe that the monolith could be an ancient beacon or marker left for future space explorers. Others see it as possible evidence of extraterrestrial activity in our solar system. Spaceship in Turkey. In Turkey, near the city of Şanlıurfa, there is one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world, Göbekli Tepe. This complex, which is over 12,000 years old, consists of massive stone structures arranged in circles. Göbekli Tepe is considered the oldest known temple complex on Earth. The megaliths, up to 6 meters high and weighing several tons, impress with their precision and craftsmanship. The stone slabs are decorated with carvings depicting animals and abstract symbols. This level of art and engineering raises many questions about how ancient people were able to create such complex structures without modern technology. Researchers suggest that the construction of Göbekli Tepe might have been connected to extraterrestrial technologies. These hypotheses are based on the unusual precision and scale of the complex, which some believe could only have been achieved with advanced technologies, possibly provided by extraterrestrial civilizations. Göbekli Tepe continues to attract the attention of scientists and enthusiasts from all over the world, fueling interest in ancient mysteries and possible contacts with extraterrestrial beings. A UFO on the cover of an 18th century book. The discovery of a UFO image on the cover of a book by Johann Funk, published in 1716, sparked widespread debate among ufologists. This image, depicting a classic flying saucer surrounded by bright lightning, is seen by many as confirmation that extraterrestrial visitors were coming to Earth as far back as 300 years ago. Despite disagreements about whether alien visits actually took place in 1718, the discovery confirms that people of that time were also interested in the idea of extraterrestrial civilizations. As always, people are divided into two types. Some believe in UFOs, while others are skeptical about such assumptions. Ufologists are wondering about the technological development of the aliens. If we assume that they really visited Earth in the 18th century, then how did their technology remain unchanged for 3 centuries? This refers to the shape of the alien spacecraft. Chichen Itza and its mysteries. Chichen Itza was of great importance to the Maya civilization as a political, economic, and religious center. This ancient city, located on the northern Yucatan Peninsula, was an important place for rituals and ceremonies related to the gods and astronomical phenomena. Erich von Däniken, known for his theories about ancient aliens, drew attention to the El Castillo Pyramid in his research. That the precision of the architectural and astronomical elements of the pyramid may indicate contact between the Maya and extraterrestrial civilizations. Däniken noted that pyramids like El Castillo might have been built using technologies unknown to modern scientists. The symbolic meaning of the light show on the steps of the El Castillo pyramid during the equinox is connected to the cult of Kukulkan. On the days of the spring and autumn equinox, sunlight creates the illusion of a serpent descending the steps of the pyramid. This phenomenon was interpreted as the return of Kukulkan to Earth, which confirmed the importance of Mayan astronomical knowledge and their ability to design architecture in harmony with the movement of celestial bodies. The Maya believed in the return of the god Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, who symbolized rebirth and renewal. This belief was based on ancient myths and texts, such as the Popol Vuh and the Maya codices, which describe the cyclical nature of time and the return of the gods at certain moments in history. Kukulkan was an important deity associated with wind, water, and fertility, which made his cult especially significant for the agrarian Maya society. Modern archaeologists interpret these findings as evidence of the high level of development of astronomy and engineering among the Maya. They believe that the pyramids and other structures of Chichen Itza were built taking into account complex mathematical calculations and observations of the movements of celestial bodies. A call from aliens. Humanity has been sending signals into space for many decades, hoping to establish contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. But what will happen if one day Earth receives a response? If scientists manage to detect signs of extraterrestrial life, most likely the first to know about it will be SETI specialists. This project began its work back in 1959 when scientists started studying signals from space. Today, powerful computers are used to analyze a huge number of radio signals from space, tracking any unusual patterns. According to Seth Shostak, SETI's chief astronomer, even if a signal from aliens is detected, it will not lead to panic. All results will be confirmed by other telescopes, and the whole world will definitely find out about it. After all, news of such a discovery will instantly spread through the media and social networks. Although in the past similar attempts to contact aliens have led to false alarms, scientists believe it is important to be prepared for real contact. But the question of how to respond to the aliens remains open. This will require international cooperation, And according to scientists, the main language of communication will be mathematics. Professor Paul Davis from Arizona State University leads a group that is working on creating a response. Some believe that aliens might just send a signal to say, "Hello, Earthlings, we are here." But how to express the essence of human life or our values using mathematics remains a difficult task. The mystery of the Dropa discs. In 1938, in a remote region of China in the city of Bayan Karaula, archaeologists discovered amazing artifacts, the Dropa discs. These discs, made of granite, are about 30 centimeters in diameter and about 1 centimeter thick. They attracted the attention of scientists with their unusual appearance. Each disc contains central holes and carved spiral grooves, like grooves used for sound playback. That is, they are similar to vinyl records and may possibly contain sounds of ancient people, nature, or even something extraterrestrial. The most intriguing thing is that the grooves on the discs contain microscopic symbols that resemble hieroglyphs. Researchers claim that these symbols may be a form of ancient writing, encrypted in spiral patterns. Translations conducted by some scientists suggest that the discs may tell about an ancient civilization known as Dropa, which may have had contact with extraterrestrial beings. According to legend, the Dropa tribe arrived on Earth about 12,000 years ago from a distant star, but unfortunately, almost no artifacts remain from them except for these discs. The Dropa discs remain one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries, raising many questions about possible contacts between ancient humans and extraterrestrials. Fragments of the alien ship in the ocean. A well-known scientist from Harvard University, astrophysicist Avi Loeb, who gained popularity for his research on UFOs and possible contacts with extraterrestrials, reported the possible discovery of fragments of an alien ship on the ocean floor. Loeb became well known thanks to his theory about the unusual nature of the asteroid Oumuamua, which in 2017 accelerated and deviated from its expected trajectory without any apparent reason, leading the scientists to suggest its artificial origin. Recently, Loeb turned his attention to a meteorite that fell into the Pacific Ocean in 2014. The object, known as IM-1, was notable for its unusual speed. The scientist went to the site where it fell and, together with his team, retrieved a fragment from a depth of 1,700 meters. As a result, they discovered about 50 small spheres made of iron, magnesium, and titanium, each about 0.3 millimeters in size. Lepp and his colleagues suggest that these spherules could be evidence of an alien spacecraft emergency landing on Earth, but many scientists are skeptical of his hypothesis. They believe that similar fragments with such a composition could be the result of natural processes that occur when a meteorite enters the atmosphere and falls to the ocean floor. Shiva Linga. In the city of Sirsi in India, there is a unique pilgrimage site called Sahasri Linga. Here, among the natural beauty, there are stone images of Shiva Linga that amaze with their appearance, especially during the Mahashivaratri festival. At this time, the water level in the river drops, making the sculptures visible. It attracts thousands of pilgrims and tourists who wish to see and worship the sacred lingams. Shiva Lingam is a symbol of Shiva, one of the main deities in Hinduism, representing the source of creation and destruction. Interestingly, there are not only religious but also scientific debates surrounding the Shiva Lingam. Some proponents of the ancient astronaut theory claim that the Shiva Lingam could represent a powerful technological device, similar in function to a modern nuclear reactor. Based on the shape and properties of the lingam, they suggest that ancient people might have used advanced technologies. On the other hand, modern scientists may interpret the Shiva Lingam as a symbol of atomic energy, which also has the potential for both great benefit and destruction. This analogy highlights the dual nature of Shiva, who in the Hindu tradition is both a creator and a destroyer at the same time. Communion set. During a research project by the National Archaeological Medical Institute near Lake Tisa, a rare find was made: a silver communion set and a hoard of 70 silver coins. These artifacts were discovered at the site of the ruins of a Benedictine abbey, found in 2023. The silver set, consisting of a chalice and a wafer stand, dates back to the 14th century and was likely part of a burial. In addition, a hoard of 70 silver coins dating from the 13th to 14th centuries was found by volunteers during the excavation. The findings indicate the region's rich history and its significance in the Middle Ages. Work continues in the Archaeometric Laboratory to analyze and restore these valuable discoveries. Artifacts from prehistoric times to today will deepen our understanding of the region's history and its role in Hungarian history. Stone Age axe. During excavations in southern Denmark at Rydbyhavn, archaeologists found something rarely seen in such condition: a stone axe completely preserved, along with its wooden handle. The find is about 5,500 years old, and its condition is what makes it unique. In peat soil saturated with moisture and organic matter, the wood did not decompose but seemed to freeze in time. This is not an abstract archaeological object, and not a rare museum artifact. This is a real working tool that could have been used for construction, hunting, or everyday life. The slightly curved handle, the shape of the attachment, and the traces of wear have all remained in place. And all this speaks not of a symbol, but of the person who held this axe, carried it with him, perhaps passed it down as an inheritance, and then it was lost or left behind, and lay in the ground for thousands of years. Discoveries like these matter not just for their rarity, but because they let us experience antiquity as a continuation, not an abstraction. Only time separates us from those who held this axe. The unicorn horn. Allow me to introduce you to the life of the medieval unicorn. This creature, although mythical, faced cruel treatment from humanity. People hunted unicorns for their magical horns, which, according to legend, had unique properties such as the ability to purify water and remove poison from food. Unicorns were believed to exist according to the testimonies of many ancient scholars, including Aristotle and Ctesias, as well as great minds like Leonardo da Vinci. In the Middle Ages, unicorns symbolized purity and wisdom. Their horns became a symbol of prosperity and could serve as an indicator of poisoning. But how can you find a unicorn horn in a world where these creatures do not exist? This question was answered by using the horns of other animals, such as rhinoceroses or walruses. However, the most popular were the tusks of narwhals, animals from the Arctic, whose twisted tusks were mistakenly believed to be unicorn horns for centuries. Travelers and hunters secretly obtained these horns and sold them to Europeans as the horns of mythical creatures. Thus, merchants and great rulers like Lorenzo Medici and Queen Elizabeth I paid huge sums for these tusks, considering them symbols of power and protection. Even the Grand Inquisitor Tomás de Torquemada never traveled without a piece of such a horn, believing it could save his life from heretics. With the development of science and the progress of research methods, belief in the miraculous properties of unicorn horns faded, and now they remain only as exhibits in museums, a reminder of how legend and reality intertwined in human history. The Piri Reis Map. The map, created in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, is one of the most famous cartographic artifacts of the Age of Discovery. Although only a fragment of this map has survived to this day, it is kept in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul and was discovered in 1929. The special interest in the map is due to the fact that it contains a partial copy of the now-lost map of Christopher Columbus, which makes it an important historical document. The Piri Reis map depicts parts of the Atlantic Ocean, including the coasts of Europe, Africa, and South America. A surprisingly accurate depiction of South America for the early 16th century, as well as details of the Caribbean and the islands of Hispaniola and Cuba. One of the interesting features of the map is that Cuba is depicted as part of the Asian continent, which is probably due to early misconceptions about the geography of the New World. A notable detail is the southern part of the map, which is interpreted as an early version of Terra Australis, the hypothetical southern continent that was believed to exist at the time. This adds extra intrigue and debate about the possible sources of information that Piri Reis used when creating the map. It is possible that he relied on older maps or used the stories of sailors from his time, which makes this artifact even more significant and mysterious for researchers. Changes in human activity. Some scientists discuss the possibility that alien microbes could affect human DNA, leading to significant changes in our genetic code. This hypothesis suggests that such microorganisms could not only exist but also influence human evolution, making us more like them. In support of this idea, researchers point to a number of observable changes in the human population, such as a decrease in testosterone levels and a reduction in sperm count. These trends can be interpreted as signs of evolutionary changes, possibly caused by external influences, including environmental factors or even the impact of extraterrestrial agents. The decrease in testosterone levels and sperm count can have serious consequences for reproductive health and the demographic structure of the population, which makes this topic important from both a scientific and a social perspective. Stationary objects underwater. There are numerous immobile anomalous objects that still remain a mystery to scientists. Even if we set aside myths, such as the legends of Atlantis, the list of interesting discoveries still remains impressive. One of the most famous is the Uniguni Monument, located near the Ryukyu Islands, not far from the Japanese island of Uniguni. These are stone structures located at a shallow depth, which have regular geometric shapes. Although most scientists consider them to be natural geological formations, many researchers believe these stones are the result of human activity. Another mystery is the megalith found at the bottom of the Pantelleria Vecchia Bank in the Tunisian Strait. It is a huge stone, 12 meters long, and weighing 15 tons with 3 round holes in it. Based on its structure, it is believed that it was shaped by humans in the Mesolithic period, about 12 to 15,000 years ago. However, analysis of the rock has shown that its age may be much greater, over 40,000 years. This casts doubt on its origin. The Cuban underwater city is another mysterious discovery made in 2001 off the western coast of Cuba. Using sonar, geometric structures were discovered that resemble pyramids and rings made of granite blocks. These findings have raised many questions among researchers, as they could be either natural formations or the result of human activity. These and other objects remain the subject of active research and discussion. After all, their origin could reveal much that is unknown about ancient civilizations and the nature of the ocean depths. The Tule Papyrus is an ancient Egyptian document that, according to some sources, describes observations of unusual celestial phenomena resembling modern ideas about UFOs. The papyrus was discovered in the first half of the 20th century and allegedly belonged to the former director of the Egyptian Museum in the Vatican, Alberto Tulli. The text of the papyrus tells that during the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose III, around 1480 BC, strange luminous objects appeared in the sky. They are described as fiery disks that moved across the sky, emitting light and noise. These objects caused panic among the residents and priests, and their appearance was recorded as an unusual event. Although the authenticity of the Tule Papyrus is disputed and causes much debate among scholars, its content continues to attract the attention of researchers and UFO enthusiasts. Metro believes that the document may be ancient evidence of sightings of alien spacecraft. South America. The people of South America believe in the existence of UFOs for several reasons. First of all, in these countries, cultural heritage and traditions play an important role in society. In Peru and Bolivia, for example, ancient civilizations such as the Incas left behind many legends and artifacts that can be interpreted as evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. Local legends and myths often contain references to celestial beings and mysterious events, which makes people more receptive to the idea of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. It is important to note that some archaeological discoveries and historical structures, such as the Nazca lines in Peru, also contribute to the emergence of such interpretations. Ancient petroglyphs and rock paintings discovered in various regions depict strange figures and objects that resemble modern UFOs. This evidence complements cultural traditions and increases belief in the possibility of such contacts. In Brazil and Uruguay, numerous sightings of extraterrestrial objects have been recorded even today. One of the well-known cases is the incident in Varginha, Brazil, in 1996, when local residents claimed to have seen a strange creature after a UFO crash. In Uruguay, both military and civilian witnesses have also repeatedly reported unidentified flying objects, which led to the creation of official research groups. Local residents and authorities in South America respond to UFO reports with great interest. Research in this region has a significant impact on the global UFO community. The mystery of the Nan Madol ruins. The Nan Madol ruins are a unique ancient city in Micronesia, located on artificial islands in a lagoon off the coast of Pohnpei. This mysterious complex, built of giant basalt blocks, is a sophisticated system of canals and buildings constructed on more than 90 artificial islands. The age of the structures is estimated to be over 1,000 years, and their purpose still remains unclear. The structure and construction technology of Nan Madol is impressive in its scale and complexity. Some blocks weigh up to 50 tons, and it is still unknown how the ancient builders moved and placed them with such precision. This mystery has led to many hypotheses, including suggestions about possible extraterrestrial knowledge or technologies used in the construction. Local legends speak of magic and supernatural forces being used in the construction of the city. The ruins of Nan Madol remain one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in the world, attracting the attention of both scientists and mystery enthusiasts. This ancient city, surrounded by water and myths, offers a unique window into the past and makes one wonder about possible contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. As you can see, history is full of mysteries and unexplained events, unexplained phenomena that lead us to believe in the existence of alien life in the past, and that our ancestors had contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. And do you believe in the existence of something like this? Write your opinion in the comments below the video. Copper object. This mysterious artifact, made from a single piece of copper alloy, puzzles researchers and collectors. The object is rather roughly cast with visible defects and has a head in the shape of a rectangular prism that tapers from all sides to a sharp edge. The handle, smoothly rounded at the end, shows no signs of impact, which indicates that it was not used for striking in the usual sense. Interestingly, there used to be parallel scratch lines on the sides of the head, which have worn away over time. This may indicate repeated use of the artifact, possibly in the process of cutting, grinding, or scraping. The artifact's estimated age ranges from 5 to 10,000 years, but its exact origin remains unclear. Some researchers hypothesize that this object could have been used for ritual purposes or as part of an unknown technological device. Supporters of alternative history believe that such artifacts could have been part of ancient, highly advanced tools, created using technologies that surpass the capabilities of ancient metallurgists. Namali figurines, one of the most mysterious artifacts of the African continent, is the Namali figurines. They were found in Sierra Leone in West Africa. These ancient sculptures, carved from stone, depict strange creatures with disproportionately large heads, bulging eyes, and other unusual features that are not characteristic of human anatomy. Some of them even depict scenes that can be interpreted as mythological or religious. The unique shapes and features of these figurines have attracted the attention not only of archaeologists, but also of supporters of ancient astronaut theories. Some researchers believe that the Namali figurines may represent images of extraterrestrial beings that the ancient inhabitants of the region may have come into contact with. In their opinion, the strange proportions and features of the figurines may indicate that they were inspired by real beings of extraterrestrial origin. Although this theory has no scientific evidence, it adds an aura of mystery to the Namali figurines and attracts the attention of ufologists and fans of mysticism. Mainstream science regards the Namali figurines as religious or ritual objects, and they believe that these artifacts were most likely used in ancient ceremonies or rituals related to the worship of gods or spirits, as they could have symbolized certain mythological characters. As I told you before, when archaeologists or historians can't explain the origin of an artifact, it inevitably becomes an object of religious significance. Interestingly, Namali figurines are often found deep in the ground. Sometimes they are found together with other ancient artifacts, various iron objects or weapons, which makes it more difficult to date them and determine their cultural context. Some findings suggest that these artifacts may have existed in very ancient times, possibly long before the emergence of known civilizations in this region. When people recall the technological developments of the Third Reich, they most often mention the V-1 and V-2 rockets. And indeed, these were the first ballistic missiles in history that struck cities and possibly set the direction for the entire future space program. But that's only what became public, what the world saw. At the same time, work was underway in secret facilities on projects that are still the subject of debate. One of the most discussed projects is Honebu. These were designs for disc-shaped aircraft, shaped like flying saucers, described as machines with a gravity engine capable of vertical takeoff and reaching speeds unattainable by the aviation of that time. Schematics. Additional blueprints. All of this exists. Perhaps these were just concepts, maybe more. One of the key figures in this field is Victor Schauberger, an Austrian engineer who worked with vortex flows. His idea was that energy could be obtained not by burning fuel, but by controlling the natural flows of water and air, the vortex, as a source of power. He believed that nature had already invented the perfect form of motion and that humans just needed to learn how to copy it. The Nazis knew this and apparently used it. The peculiarity of all these projects is that they didn't look like frontline weapons. They weren't created to turn the tide of the war. They were made as if for a different purpose, not for victory, but for transition. It's hard to explain this feeling, but it's there. As if someone expected that these machines would be needed not in 1945, but later. Of course, most of these developments never reached the testing stage, but their existence speaks to the scale of ambition, to the desire to go beyond the limits, not figuratively, but literally. In these drawings, diagrams, and ideas, there was a drive to find a way out when all other roads had already been blocked. The London Hammer. In 1936, an unusual discovery was made in Texas, which became the subject of heated debates among scientists and ufologists. The discovered artifact, known as the London Hammer, was found sealed inside a piece of petrified limestone, which, according to some estimates, is millions of years old. This led to the suggestion that the hammer might have belonged to a highly advanced ancient civilization, or perhaps even had an extraterrestrial origin. Supporters of the ancient astronaut theory and alternative history believe that the London Hammer is evidence of an unknown civilization that possessed advanced technologies long before the emergence of known cultures. They claim that such an artifact could not have accidentally ended up in such ancient rock layers, but there is also a scientific explanation. The hammer could have ended up in the limestone much later after its formation. In their opinion, the age of the fossil does not necessarily indicate the age of the artifact, and it is possible that the hammer was embedded in the sedimentary rock at a later time. To this day, the London Hammer remains one of those mysteries that continue to intrigue people and spark debates about the origins of humanity and its history. And what do you think? Could our ancestors have really made contact with extraterrestrial beings? Or is all of this just part of a hoax fabricated in modern times? Share your opinion in the comments below the video. I'd be interested to read it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.